Saturday evening, and the title is, as you can see, no good. There is no good or evil. There is just selfish or selfless.
And selfish agendas.
Yeah. So no good or evil, just selfish or selfless agendas.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and read first, or do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I want to talk just a little bit about kind of how we're going to tie everything in. There's a bunch of things that go along with this one. It's going to, might get a little confusing, so go back and rewind if you need to. We're going to talk about Lucifer. We're going to talk about modern day. We're going to talk about some tie-ins between back then and now that are pretty fascinating.
And amongst all this, amidst all this, do your own research.
Yeah.
Everything we tell you, if it sparks something of curiosity or interest, look it up. It's fascinating.
We're going to talk, and I'm going to start with indoctrination. So, and it's indoctrination into religion, since we're talking about Lucifer. And then, so, have your phone ready or have your notes ready. And then write this down and go back and verify all this shit yourself. Because we say it, but we want you to understand it. And the only way that you're going to be able to understand it is if you're looking it up yourself. Selfless and selfish. Replace those two things with good and evil.
The good being selfless.
Selfless.
And the evil being selfish. And we talked about that in previous talks,
yep.
if you've watched. So everything really does tie together. But that's a big point that we want to make is, again, the selfless, the good, versus the evil, which is selfish.
And it all makes sense, I think, once we get finished. The word Lucifer, when you hear it, you probably, oh shit, they're going to talk about Lucifer, is used a few times in the Bible. And it simply means morning star.
Which is something fascinating to know that there's, at least when you look online, 15, 16 different versions of the Bible. So the verses, we're going to actually read some verses for you. But be aware, look them up and see, which already is kind of strange that there are so many different versions of the same verse.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we're going to, something fascinating, we're going to take Lucifer and then bring it up into today. And I kind of like to compare it to Santa Claus, that whole Satan-Santa thing, and the story vibe and everything that goes along with it, and we'll tie that in at the end. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to read the definition of Lucifer. So pay attention. It goes down the line, and it's just fascinating. So Cassie's going to read that real quick.
All right. So Lucifer is a name according to dictionaries of the English language. It refers to the devil or Satan, or to the planet Venus when appearing as the morning star. In the first sense of the name is the rendering of the Hebrew word, in Hebrew, in Isaiah 14:12, given in the King James Version. The Bible version took the word from Latin, the Latin Vulgate, and translated it to the Latin word Lucifer uncapitalized, which basically means the morning star, the planet Venus, or as an adjective, light-bringing or light-bringer.
Light-bringer.
It's a big thing to remember.
Think about that.
In the second sense, the morning star Lucifer in Latin was also personified and considered a Greco-Roman pagan god.
That's where it kind of got its negative connotation. Okay, go.
The Hebrew word transliterated, Hallel, occurs once in the Hebrew Bible, and according to the King James Version, based strong concordance means shining one or light bearer.
Hallel. Hell. Go.
In Greek, the name Hesophoros, a name literally bringer of dawn for the morning star. So that was the Greek version.
All of these are Venus, the morning star, light bringer.
According to both Christian and Jewish, the word I can never say.
Spell it?
Oh, no, never mind. According to both Christian and Jewish versions,
Okay.
in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar II, conqueror of Jerusalem, is condemned in the prophetic vision by the prophet Isaiah and is called the morning star, planet Venus. In this chapter, the Hebrew text, Hallel ben Shakar, shining one, son of the morning.
Okay, that was the baby. So we'll kind of revisit that. Lucifer and how it's gotten into what it is today. From that, it's kind of like the telephone game. You know, you tell somebody a secret and it goes on down and on down and on down and on down the line. And I hate to use the word dumbed down, but that's basically what has occurred. Now we're going to read where Lucifer, the Isaiah 14:12, where the word Lucifer is actually used.
And then we'll just talk after that. So.
Yeah, Isaiah, prophet, his prophecy about King Nebuchadnezzar, and Isaiah 14:12, 13, 14, 15, keep going on down the road. You'll see that story if you already know it, then revisit it. Isaiah 14:12.
Okay. So Isaiah 14:12, it reads, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? And again, what we just talked about, this word simply means shining one, morning star, bright star, splendid star, Lucifer, Hallel, they're all coming from each other.
Yeah. And so that was Isaiah talking about King Nebuchadnezzar.
Not Lucifer.
Calling
where,
him, he called
yes.
him Lucifer. If you know anything about King Nebuchadnezzar II, and you want to bring it up into today, the President of the United States of America, Nebuchadnezzar II, exactly the same timeline. And this is what I wanted to get into about history repeating itself. Okay? Nebuchadnezzar and the president, both fathers, handed them a kingdom. And these are things I want you to go back and study about Nebuchadnezzar, and then look at what you have in front of you today.
See how history is truly repeating itself.
I mean, it's wild. Both daddies gave him fortunes. Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem, created Babylon. You've heard that word, Babylon. Don't want no Babylon. Babylon is, and we live in a modern day Babylon. The United States of America's modern day Babylon. It is, like we talked about last week, it's a worship of the material world. And the United States of America is number one. And relating to then to now, it's the same thing. You have people recognizing that, and what we're able to do now with our knowledge is take that and look at it now, and it is exactly the same. Nebuchadnezzar was what we talked about last week, in understanding yourself, and he will,
Well, Nebuchadnezzar is an example of a selfish human being.
Yeah.
So that's again, so he was evil. So
what was the phrase I
selfish.
used? It was God, ego, the whole thing.
I'm not sure. I might have to go get the baby.
Basically, that whole holier than thou.
I know.
Yeah.
Like
Anyways,
that's
yeah.
the one thing with live videos. We're doing it, and just you can see how we
It's
really
freestyle.
are.
What is that? Anyways, the equivalent of what we have today. built the empire.
Better than God. You're trying to be. You are the God complex.
God complex. That was an old school God complex reference.
Was
Nebuchadnezzar. And today we talked about last time, the whole God complex, what we have here. Nebuchadnezzar was very successful in doing what he did. Like we talked about, it can be attained on the God complex side or the selfish side. And did what he did and spent the last 7 years of his life suffering from insanity from that God complex, and eventually died from it.
So again, we're talking about looking at the similarities.
Go back at Nebuchadnezzar the second, and then look at what you have today.
You're seeing a lot of headlines about insanity and mental health. And
what did you tell me about today? The specific. There's a National Association of Psychiatry.
If you look back at Nebuchadnezzar, the first word that comes up is narcissism. I mean, you look at him; it's pure narcissism.
Pure narcissist.
So, a way to kind of compare it nowadays, I can't find the exact quote, but if you look, that's what certain people of our nation are suffering from now, is an extreme case of narcissism, making them unfit to do their job. So
now I want to mention something real quick. We always refer to modern day because that's where we are.
Relatable, we're all experiencing it.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily wanting to focus on that one guy. What I want to do with these talks is I want to focus on the people that manifested him into reality, because he, like attracts like. There's a whole bunch of people in the United States of America with that same God complex idea. And if not handled appropriately, it's going to get kind of scary. So the education aspect of it is what we're trying to do. We're not trying to knock anybody. We never are. This is based on our personal observation and our personal experience and indoctrination into religions. And what we see and observe today versus history.
And also, again, like you said, what we experience personally, and we'll talk about when you're traveling forward in a selfless, that is, you are being selfless, you really know who your higher self is. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, too. And by knowing your higher self, you will continually be connected with yourself, basically, is what we're saying. You will walk that selfless path. So that'll kind of lead into that a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to get into modern day Lucifer, and I'm going to compare it to the Santa Claus story because, my personal opinion, and that whole Lucifer or Satan, as you heard, it got passed on down the line. Modern day propaganda. Sees that as a legit person, a person that makes you do bad. My indoctrination into religion, that's what it teaches, and it teaches grown-ups that, and
that to fear the devil, and they make it a real person, with hooves and
horns and the whole thing, and it's a real fascinating concept. And this is the reason we do these things, is so you can think
and start looking up what interests you.
Yeah.
With this, start looking up the devil, the Lucifer.
Yeah.
Start putting
Look
your
up
own
666.
pieces together. Yeah.
These are things that you've been taught are so bad.
When really it's 6 protons, 6 neutrons,
and six electrons, which is life.
That's 666 in our eyes.
Yeah, well, and
and in science.
Yeah, and in actual science, that's what it means. And it was life. Given so many negative, things. And the reason for the devil is so you don't have to take responsibility for your own actions. And that's the only thing that's what it is. And so people can blame an outward entity for all the bullshit that they do, and all alone say that they're saved by grace.
When really, if you know yourself, if you know thyself, look within and start doing soul searching, seeking what you're doing, you see everything is yin yang. Everything is light and dark. Everything is this devil, God. Everything is this good versus evil, when really it comes down to being selfish or selfless.
Yeah.
It's a decision you make. You go this devil's path, which is selfish, or the selfless.
You follow your purpose and you go after it, and we're not doing these to go ha 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 fuck you. That's not what we're doing it. The reason that we're doing it is because I know a lot of people and that were indoctrinated into the same concept, and you see them live that, grow up with it, and it's just you're just kind of like yeah, that type of thing. And if what I'm saying jives, then look it up on your own. Go through and study these specific things and understand that God complex comes when you are, like the example I gave, source is here. When you get further away from the source is when the God complex happens. When the source here, you go inside, realize you are a fragment of the source, and yet you are nothing without the rest of the source. Two different mindsets, and this talk leading and continuing basically that last one, and again, that whole devil thing, it means, it is what it is. That Lucifer, it meant Venus.
It's through all these translations, and that's where, kind of where I remember my seeking journey started. It was like, okay, what's going on? So you're looking at all these different verses, all different meanings for the same verse. And it's all based on the type of translation. So look into that. Something that I think would be kind of neat to talk about right now, if Chris thinks so too, is
No.
the the whole idea that Lucifer means light bringer. There's something interesting with with Jesus was also called the morning star. He's also a light bringer. So you have Lucifer and Jesus being called light bringer at the same time, and there's more to that.
Yeah, that's a fascinating, I'm glad you brought that up. Will you read the definition of dichotomy of man?
Let me see if I can find it. We were talking about this earlier today.
Yeah,
so.
the dichotomy of man, and that's where we are today. We have...
and we screenshot everything we're learning in our phones. That's just a recommendation. If you are going to start doing your research, use phones for what they're for. Just screenshot,
find
research,
screenshot, and then go back and connect the dots. Dichotomy of man. You've heard the phrase, and then once she reads it, I'll get into it.
Okay, so dichotomy of man. Excuse me. In Christian theology, the I can't even say this, tripartite view of man, trichotomy, holds that a man is composite of three distinct components, body, soul, and spirit. In contrast to the bipartite view, dichotomy, where soul and spirit are taken as different terms for the same entity. So dichotomy is where the soul and the spirit are taken like different terms for the same entity.
Give me the Webster's definition.
That was, hold on, let me see.
So the dichotomy of man.
All right. Let's see. Sorry. Okay. A division into two especially mutually exclusive or contradictory groups or entities. The dichotomy between theory and practice. The process or
contradictory
practice.
entities. That's what the dichotomy of man is.
Sorry, I went the wrong direction. So we're saying dichotomy of man is division.
Dichotomy. So it was fascinating. A couple of years ago, I wrote, and it's in a book, in one of my books. But do you remember kind of what it was? It was
their world will end, and so will ours.
Right. Right now, there are 7 billion people on the planet, and everybody has a different perception of how it is.
It's literally your own little universe and world, because everyone has their own perception of reality.
To bring it to a bigger view, right now you have the dichotomy of man here on the planet. You have people that are leaning more towards the selfless, and then you have a group of people that are in power right now, and those people that support them that are more selfish. That is the dichotomy of man, and that's what's happening right now. You have your light bringers and the bringers of light, or the things that bring about the light. I said this a couple of times ago. Our current situation with, as things start to unfold, and you're going to start to see a lot of things. You're
All
going
these
to look
things are
around.
being disclosed, coming
Yeah,
out,
you're
scandals, that type of thing.
And what that's going to do is it's going to start shedding light on the subject. That's a bringer of light. And then you have
Yes.
people who are bringing the information and opening up your minds, which are also light bringers. And with that is that's what's happening. There are two contradictory entities that are right at the cusp right now.
You're selfish and selfless. The selfless you can look as the light bringers. They are with their themselves and their knowledge and open minds and hearts are bringing light. Then you have the selfish, which because of their actions and what they're doing, they're actually shedding the light on things that wake other people up and see that there's darkness happening. So opposite of darkness is light. You are forced to see. You cannot see the light without the dark.
This,
yin yang.
yeah, this is.
You can't really see it. He has the yin yang.
Yeah, right there is that is God, and there is a dark side. When Alan Watts says something beautiful, and he says that when you look up at the star or look up in the sky at night, you have to have both to see both. You have to have the light and the dark to see, and that's just, if you look at life, that's what life is.
And well, to kind of bring it back to, we're talking about Lucifer being morning star, light bringer, also Jesus being referred to as the same thing.
Yeah.
You have the dichotomy of man right there. You have the light bringer Jesus, the selfless role. Then you have this Lucifer character as a bringer of light, who's the selfish role in a way.
It's fascinating that
that whole idea.
Isaiah, in his time,
which was Nebuchadnezzar, excuse me,
which called Nebuchadnezzar Lucifer, which meant morning star. And the way that I see that is that he's saying he's shedding light on some bullshit.
Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar was doing all these horrible crimes against humanity, doing all these things. Just look back on it. Because of those actions, you are forced in this darkness. You see,
even the people that brought him
evil.
into power are eventually going to go, that's a little too much there, buddy. And that's that God complex.
So he's allowing other people to wake up and see the light. Mm-hmm. For lack of a better term, you're able to see the light because you see something so dark.
Yeah.
Look at the world today. Look how many dark things we're seeing. It is causing people to snap out of it and really start speaking up and realizing they don't want to be in the situation anymore. And they are, because of this light being shown, or causing light to come through, through the darkness, basically.
And a really cool thing that is happening, and it had to happen this way, this is another thing, certain things have to happen to awaken you eventually to
and
your
it's always
specific.
Been this way.
Yeah, it goes so deep. As we continue to get into this, we'll go a little deeper and a little deeper. But right now, we wanted to talk about there is no good or evil. It's simply selfish or selfless.
And stop and think about that in the world, not only in Hollywood, not
think
only
about
in the
yourself.
government. Think about yourself.
Yeah.
Think about that. Truly is replace, as we said in the beginning, replace good with selfless.
Mm-hmm.
Replace evil with selfish, and kind of see where that goes.
And the way that this whole big process works is this: the universe is going to do its thing. You're going to do your thing. If you're out of touch, you're going to be blah, 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 doing all these things, but you're going to be given situations throughout your entire life. People call it the high road, the low road. Same thing. High road being selfless, low road being selfish.
And Isaiah even says about Nebuchadnezzar bringing the low, being that low.
Yeah, but a destroyer, he called him a destroyer of nations.
Always taking the low road.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very, very similar to what's occurring today. But as you continue to do your own research and freak yourself out, you'll see what I'm saying. Selfless, selfish, and then that whole thing. We'll retouch on this, but this was a cool thing I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about Lucifer. I wanted to talk about why Isaiah called King Nebuchadnezzar Lucifer.
Which means Lightbringer. He is calling King, kind of just to wrap everything up, I think reiterating it would be good. So Isaiah was referring to Nebuchadnezzar the second when he said Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12. Not the devil. Not this devil that Lucifer became, the word where it was just mistranslated or translated different.
After that, it all was downhill.
It all went different directions. Nebuchadnezzar was called Lucifer because he saw him as the morning star, the bringer of light.
Yeah, the shedding, the shedding light on the actual corruption that was actually the selfishness that was occurring.
Yeah.
And through that, all of those people that supported him kind of woke up, and it's just a simple. A little bit of okay, that's all I needed to see. I don't agree with that.
They evolved a little more.
Yeah, a little bit of evolution, and if you don't do your self work, sometimes you're forced to do it. Like I said last week, you're probably facing a situation right now that's tough, and you can't get out of facing it. And those specific things will happen in your life, and you'll evolve that way. The universe is going to present a situation to you. You can either go the selfless or the selfish route. And think about that next time. It's not good or evil and all that bullshit that goes along with it. And ain't nobody going to make... The devil doesn't make you. You're the devil. You're also Christ consciousness at the same time. That is, in reality, what it is.
It's not another entity.
Yeah.
The devil on this shoulder.
Yeah.
The good Lord on the other shoulder. Yeah. No, it's your decision if you're going to go the selfish route or you're going to go the selfless route. What are you going to do? No one else is forcing you to do anything.
Take responsibility for your actions. And you'll start to see as you go down the road, you can't blame anybody. We're all responsible for exactly where we are right now in life. Whether it sucks or whether it's decent or whether it's good. We're all responsible for that, and the more of the selfless choices you start to make, the more and more it just becomes a way of life. The selfishness tends to get disgusting after a while, and you'll start to see as the shift continues to occur.
We have been presented with self. It's hard to keep getting those two. Keep getting mixed up. We've been presented in this world today with selfishness everywhere. You see it all over the news, everywhere. So that is, in its own way, these selfish actions from these selfish individuals are bringing light. They are shedding light to wake people up. And that has to happen that way. That is the whole purpose. We are given every day what we need to awaken and take a look around, find our higher self, look within. We're going to talk about higher self. Maybe even today or maybe another talk because it is such a big topic. We'll see how we feel. But you are given all these situations like Chris just said. Either the universe will present it or it's something you do to create.
Yeah.
So,
and you're either going to go either one way or the other. Let's talk about higher self real quick.
Okay, yeah, we'll end with that.
Because...
it all kind of ties in.
I've said this, I think, on the second one. You know, a lot of people go, "I'm a body with soul, spirit." In actuality, what we are soul, spirits with bodies. These bodies are our vehicles.
It's a bag of bones, as Alan Watts says, which I love. It's just these are a bag of bones. We are not that, or Rumi. I'm not the skin. I'm the soul that lives within.
Yeah.
Paraphrased. That's not exactly it. But
you know, it is your temple. And it's also, you know, the whole fitness side that we do, and you know, we don't give you a specific eating instruction thing. We ask you to listen to your heart and feed your body what you need, etc., etc. But this body is your ego, and
when you are only ego, you're more than like when you only know yourself as this, the skin you are, the body, not what's within. If you only know that, you're typically on the
Away
selfish
from,
road.
yeah, you're on you haven't really made, that's what we were always saying, go within, go within, go within, go within. If you want answers, go within, quit seeking outwardly, quit.
Stop listening to others for answers. Find it
Yeah.
yourself and verify what
Yeah.
you're looking
Verify your own, you know the truth
Your
by the
heart-
way it feels.
Yeah, your intuition, and as you start looking within, your intuition's going to get stronger.
Yeah.
There's all different ways to do that, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but in other talks. But looking within, because once you know your higher self, you connect with yourself, who you really are, and remember why you're here. Selflessness is the only thing that comes out of that, because you can't help but feel connected to everything. You are aware of how we're all interconnected. You're aware of all these things, and the only thing that comes out is love. And you may have heard this before. Now, but if you're taking that selfish road, you're not feeling any of that because you're not interconnected
You're
with
feeding
yourself.
the ego.
You're feeding your ego, and that's all. It's all materialistic. It's all
Look at
me first, God complex, me first, everyone. I'm against everybody. I'm the best.
Yeah.
I don't care who I stomp out or hurt on my way to power and money, because I have no soul connection.
Yeah.
That's
Because
pretty
if you
much.
did, you'd be one with y'all, and it kind of, that
Something doesn't feel right
Yeah.
when you're connecting with yourself to be any other way but
and
that.
knowing your higher self, sit in meditation. Yoga's badass. I talk about meditation a lot, but yoga,
Specifically,
Cassie,
Kundalini yoga.
tell the people about the new yogi.
I was gonna say, there's like Kriya yoga I looked at,
Who
Kundalini yoga, all those. I
what's her
got it.
name? Okay.
The Kundalini yoga. Those are more like spiritual yoga. It's more about meditation and chanting and going within and working from the inside out. So I posted it on my Instagram, on both our Sun, Mind, and Body Instagram and my personal one, with Guru Chagat, and I apologize if I'm not saying, or Hugat, I apologize if I'm saying her name wrong, because I just found her yoga.
How do you spell it?
Jugat, I believe.
Okay.
But it's Kundalini yoga, and it's really powerful. And by doing meditation, by doing this yoga, and we like to share what has worked for us, but might not work for you. But this is what has helped us find our spiritual self. You can't help but feel and know when you're quiet and go within and do these certain things to your body, these certain rhythms or certain patterns and all these things. You cannot help but feel the energy moving throughout your body. You feel your soul. You feel that we're not just this bag of bones or just this skin. You feel, but the only way to do that, and you can't explain it, as you can probably tell. I can't explain it because it's your own personal
It's your
experience.
higher self. Yeah, you gotta figure it out on your own. And like we said, doing it through meditation, yoga. I like to talk to myself. Talk to yourself.
You can't help but smile if you talk to yourself.
Yeah, like
in your head.
create a little funny voice and ask yourself questions. Cassie likes to do this real high-pitched voice, and talking to yourself's really cool, because the first thing that happens, you smile. You're having a bad day, tell yourself a joke in your head, or ask yourself, start talking to get that internal dialogue happening.
It'll help you know yourself.
When you're presented with a situation, immediately go, should I go selfish or selfless? Take selfless, take the selfless, and that's more, you'll get more in tune with the higher self, and
the whole purpose of getting in tune with the higher self, to bring that back to do full circle here, is like Chris just said, when you know yourself better, you're going to tend to start going the selfless route. And your life will improve. It just will. You're
more devil, man. And that was how we were going to wrap the whole thing up. That's why I want to end with that. I'm joking about the whole devil thing, but it is.
It's really
I'm joking.
fascinating
I'm
to
joking,
look.
but I'm not joking at the same time. I'm not making fun. I'm not making fun at all. A lot of people I love were indoctrinated into this, and you know.
And never have looked for themselves.
Well,
That's
no,
the
they
big
didn't.
thing.
They didn't know.
It's
And
just
that's the thing.
read
You
the
fucking
Bible.
don't.
Read the Bible.
Yeah,
And
read the Bible.
Multiple sources.
Start at the Bible and dig deep, 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 and start to observe the correlation of then and now, and do the Nebuchadnezzar thing. Go study him, and then look at what's happening up there in Washington and around the world. Talk to yourself, meditation, yoga. And again, these talks are simply to open, and we always will end with this, and from do your own research, answer your own questions, and quit being the devil.
Good one. No, but yeah, is that it? I think we're at
Yeah,
today. So
thank you.
We talked about a lot of things, and we'll recap on all this throughout our next couple talks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that we threw at you, but hopefully if something sparked some interest, go
Yeah.
after it, do your own research, and that's all I got to say on that.
Bless up.
Have a good evening.